All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're uncorking the story of one of Italy's most prestigious, most revered grapes, the one and only Nebbiolo. Get ready because we're about to explore a wine that's as complex and demanding as it is absolutely beautiful. So, think about this for a second. A wine that smells like delicate, fresh-cut roses, but also tar? Yeah, like a freshly paved road. It sounds totally contradictory, right? But that beautiful, weird paradox, that is the signature calling card of Nebbiolo. And there she is, our protagonist. Hailing from the Piedmont region in northwestern Italy, Nebbiolo is just not your average grape. We're talking about true wine royalty here. It's famous for this regal elegance, this mind-blowing complexity, and, let's be honest, a notoriously demanding personality. But for those who are patient, oh man, it yields some of the most profound wines in the entire world.
To really understand this queen, we've got to start with her origins, which are, quite literally, woven into the foggy landscape she calls home. It's all a bit mysterious.
You know, the name Nebbiolo is actually a huge clue. It comes from the Italian word nebbia, which means fog. And there are two really cool theories about why. One is that it's named for the super dense fog that blankets the Piedmont Hills right around harvest time in the fall. The other idea is that it refers to the sort of misty, waxy bloom that covers the grapes when they're perfectly ripe. Either way, it's a name that just perfectly captures its enigmatic soul. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff. What makes this wine so captivating? Well, it all starts with that famous and constantly evolving aromatic profile. When Nebbiolo is young, it's all about these fresh, vibrant, almost perfumed notes. Just imagine a bouquet of roses and violets mixed in with bright red fruits like cherry and raspberry, and maybe just a little whisper of spice like white pepper. It's incredibly alluring and almost kind of deceptive in how light it feels. But, and this is a big but, with a little time in the bottle, something incredible happens. A total transformation. Those youthful floral notes start to deepen and evolve into something way more complex, way more profound. And this is where we find those classic, haunting aromas of tar, earthy truffles, old leather, and licorice. This magical evolution is really one of the true hallmarks of a great Nebbiolo. And that complexity isn't just in the smell, it carries right over to the palate. Nebbiolo is famous for its powerful structure. It has these really firm, grippy tannins, that sensation that kind of dries out your mouth. And that's what gives it the ability to age for decades. But all that is balanced by this high, vibrant acidity that keeps the wine feeling fresh and alive. When it all comes together perfectly, you get this full-bodied wine with a surprisingly silky, elegant texture. It's just a masterpiece of balance. So, now let's look at how this one grape creates two of Italy's most legendary wines, the powerful king, Barolo, and its elegant counterpart, the queen, Barbaresco. What's so wild is that these two wines are made from the same exact grape, grown just miles apart, but they have these remarkably distinct personalities. Barolo is the powerhouse, the structured king of wines, and it really demands years, sometimes decades, for its huge tannins to soften up. Then you have Barbaresco, often called the queen. It's typically more elegant, more refined. The tannins are a bit softer, which makes it way more approachable when it's young, though it can still age beautifully. But hey, the royal family doesn't stop there. If you want to explore Nebbiolo, you can also look for Langhe Nebbiolo, which is usually a more youthful, fruity, and often more affordable version. And then you have other regions like Roero, Gattinara, and even Valtellina over in Lombardy, all producing their own unique and fantastic styles of this grape. So you're probably thinking, this wine sounds incredible. And it is. But producing a wine this noble, not so easy. In the vineyard, this queen is, let's just say, notoriously picky. She demands very specific conditions to even think about thriving. Yeah, this path to perfection is all about the terroir. It's a real tightrope walk. First, Nebbiolo has to have these very specific soils to develop its signature complexity. Then it needs the best, sunniest, south-facing slopes just to ripen fully. And on top of all that, it's one of the very last grapes to be picked, often late into autumn, which means growers are gambling against rain and bad weather right up to the very end. It is a true labor of love. Okay, so you've navigated the wine shop, you've got a bottle of this majestic wine. Now for the really fun part. What do you serve with it? Well, its powerful structure actually makes it a dream for food pairing. A great rule of thumb here is what grows together goes together. And Nebbiolo is a perfect match for the rich food of its home in Piedmont. So think hearty roasted meats, game like wild boar, and those amazing earthy dishes with wild mushrooms or the region's famous truffles. That high tannin and high acidity are also perfect for cutting through fat, which makes it a fantastic partner for aged hard cheeses too.
All right, to wrap things up, let's look to the future. Because even a centuries-old queen like Nebbiolo has to face the challenges shaping the world of wine today. There's this really strong movement happening with modern producers toward more sustainable farming. By embracing organic and biodynamic practices, what they're really trying to do is get a pure, more transparent expression of Nebbiolo's unique home, really just letting the land speak for itself through the wine. But this all leads us to a final and pretty critical question. Nebbiolo is incredibly sensitive to its climate. So as global temperatures keep rising, winemakers are facing a huge challenge in trying to preserve that delicate balance of acidity, aroma, and structure that makes the grape so special. Can this ancient queen, so tied to her cool, foggy kingdom, actually adapt to a warmer world? That really is the defining question for her future reign.